Hello. So today we are going to transfer our pattern. I'm going to be transferring from the paper pattern. I just printed it off. So I just need to cut it out. I am going to do the option one with the Happy Fall Y'all. But if you are choosing a different saying, that's cool. So the patterns should fit in a 7-inch hoop. Sometimes I have to cut like on the inside line. It depends on your printer a little bit as well and what setting you have it set up, but okay. All right, let me get you flipped around and I will show you what we're gonna do. Let's see. Oh. There we go. Okay, so I don't iron my fabric. You totally can. If this is gonna bug you. I feel like I can pull it tight enough that it'll pull it straight and flat, but if folds are gonna bug you, then iron your fabric first. So I'm gonna stitch in a 7-inch plastic hoop. If you are using a bamboo hoop or a beechwood hoop, that is fine as well. Let me grab a hoop. Hold 1 second. Forgot I was going to talk about this again. I talked about this during the supplies video, but if you didn't watch that, then I am just going to explain it again. So bamboo hoops are sometimes not 100% circular. They also sometimes have these gaps right here, like between hoops. So what I do to make sure there's the least amount of gaps is I draw a little line so that I can remember that this is my center. Because if you take this out and then it moves like over here, it's going to create more gaps. So I like to draw a line so that I know where my center is in case it gets off center. Also, if you are having problems with a gap in your fabric or a gap between your hoops, you can also wrap this inner hoop with tape or thread or fabric, just so that you can kind of bridge that little bit of a gap right there. If you're having problems, let me know and I can help you more with that behind the scenes. If you're using a beechwood hoop, you shouldn't have any problems like that. They shouldn't have gaps, but sometimes I'll still mark the center just so that I can remember where that was if there's any problems, but okay. I like to stitch in a plastic hoop because they hold really tight. So this one has that groove that I was talking about in the supplies video. So that just fits right up inside of the outer hoop and it holds that fabric nice and tight. So first thing we're gonna do is put our fabric in our hoop. So we're gonna put our inner hoop on the bottom and then our fabric on top and then our outer hoop on top of that, like that. And then what we're gonna do is tighten this and then we will start to pull our fabric tight. So I like to work kind of in rounds. This is still too loose. Tighten it so I can still pull the fabric, but I'll have to tighten it again after. So I just work my way around. I hold on to it with my fingers on the inside and then this finger kind of holding that inner hoop as well. And I just work my way around and pull that nice and tight. We want this drum tight. If your fabric is loose, then your stitches will be loose. And if our stitches are loose, then it won't look as neat. So once we've pulled that tight, then we can tighten this again. If you are using one of these hoops and you can't tighten it very much with your fingers, get a screwdriver. This one has one, but I don't have a problem tightening this because the hardware is so good. But pull that tight, and then I go around again and see if I can pull it any tighter. All right. Okay. So that is nice and tight. You should be able to tap on it and hear it like a drum. That's how tight we want it. Okay, and then I usually keep about an inch or inch and a half fabric on the edges. This was just a scrap piece that I had. It's quite a bit bigger than what I normally would use. But if you have too much fabric on the edges, it'll sometimes catch when you're stitching. So I'm just gonna roughly kind of just cut around this. Even if it's only like an inch long, I still will go and like cut off my corners just because those corners will get caught more easily. So if you round it out a little bit, and we'll cut this nicer at the end, like when we're finishing our hoops, but I just want to make sure I don't have too much extra fabric just because it makes stitching a little bit harder. So once you have your fabric, it's a little bit dirty. Once you have your fabric in there nice and tight, that's when we're going to transfer our pattern. So what we're going to do is take our circle and place it on the back. It should fit inside your hoop. If it doesn't, then just trim it a little bit. So usually I trim, like I cut it so that it's just on the inside of the black line, but wherever it doesn't fit, just trim it a little bit so that we can see. Shoot, this fabric is a little bit dirty. So then you should be able to see through it. If you're having a hard time seeing through your fabric, like if this isn't working, you can put like a tablet screen behind it. So then you have like a light box, or you can put it up against a window and then trace it from the window that way. Whatever is easiest. I find it easy to just hold on to it like this and press with my fingers where I'm going to be writing. I haven't had a problem doing that, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna use one of these heat erasable pens. I talked about these in the supplies video. This is linked in my supplies highlight. This one is blue, I think. Yeah, they come in blue or black, but you could also use a Pilot Friction pen or marker. If you're using a regular pencil, which is totally fine, just make sure that you're drawing very lightly. You don't want to make very dark lines because those will not erase. So make sure you are careful about that. I forgot my water. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and start tracing our patterns. So I'm just gonna put my fingers against this here and then go ahead and just start drawing my pattern. This doesn't need to be super exact lines. If your lines are a little bit crazy, it's gonna be just fine. We're going to stitch over the top of these so it'll cover up any little imperfections, okay? Okay, and then I'm just gonna work my way around. So we've got some dots and some X's. Now, for these, I'm not gonna draw the loops just because it'll take a little bit longer. I'm just gonna draw a line for each one. You can draw the loops if you want. I am just gonna draw some lines because it's just a little bit faster. The only thing that I think needs to be traced exactly as close as you possibly can is the lettering, just because lettering is a little bit more precise, but with flowers and stuff, like if they're not exact, it's not gonna like ruin anything. It will be just fine. I know some people will also like tape their pattern to the window and then trace it that way, because then they're not like having to hold on to things. I usually trace like directly from my iPad screen, so this is not my usual way. If you have any questions, let me know. This isn't exactly the most fun thing to watch, but, and then I know that these are gonna have dots on them, so I'm just not gonna draw them because I like my pattern. I like my fabric to have the least amount of lines as possible, because like it makes it easier to see like what I'm doing, and then I can add things as I go. So if you're feeling like there's too much going on your fabric, you can leave a few little details off. You could even leave off all these X's and dots. I'm gonna do the pumpkin last, so I'm gonna work my way back down this way now. Almost done. I started drawing these. I should probably finish drawing them, huh? I don't know why it's hard for me to draw and talk at the same time, so sorry. Okay, now this one I do want it to be a little bit more exact, so I generally will draw it a little bit more slowly, just because I know it's going to be a little bit harder to stitch this one. The pumpkin, I want it to look nice and smooth. And we're going to be doing a satin stitch with it, so I know I'm going to be relying on these lines a lot. Okay, there's that. So now we just have the text in the middle. I'm not gonna make these like super thick like the text or like the font is. I'm just gonna draw the letters, and then we can decide once we get stitching how thick we want our stitch to be. Okay, that is it. And then we've got that and our pattern. Okay, so that's all there is to it. I don't think I have anything else to say. But if you have a question once you get working on this, let me know. And I will help when I can. So get this done, and then we start stitching a week from yesterday. So 6 days, September 18th, I will be live stitching this for all of you to see. Okay, have a good afternoon, and I will see you later. Bye.